How's it going, everyone? Scott McKay here from Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks here at Createx Colors. We're going to do some airbrush basics today. To kickstart your ability to airbrush freehand, going to get you a couple basic drills and really be able to work that airbrush. You practice it and you'll be mastering the airbrush in no time. All right, so the first technique I want to teach you is the basic bare bones, the dots, okay? The dots are your basic first method of really learning how to airbrush control and keep the trigger on. That is the key, is trigger down, pull back for paint, push forward to stop. Back for paint, push forward to stop, always leaving it on. And what you're going to do is you're going to repeat that and do some dots. And you're going to mess with your distance and try different distances and different trigger pulls, and you'll see the results. I want to do a line. I'm going to go about an inch away, pull back the trigger a little bit, and you get a dot. I'm going to move. I'm going to pull back the trigger again and close it. Trigger again and close it. I can try different distances, different amounts of trigger pull. Now I can get closer. The closer you get and the least trigger pull, you get nice little dots all the way up to really big gradation dots. And you'll see there, these are really tight, these start to get looser. You can also go really far back, same thing, and pull back a little bit triggers and just get little, subtle dots. They're not as dark. This is definitely something you want to practice. The more you practice this, the better trigger control you get. You can also use graph paper, things like that, and you can try to target it and just help with that spatial relation. So what I'm going to do a nice clean row, all one size. And that kind of gets your consistency. I'm going to move about an inch, pull the trigger back, rock it forward. Pull the trigger back, rock it forward. I would do a couple rows of these. And this is going to lead into the next technique. We'll give it one more. We'll do these a little bigger. This also helps to make sure your paint's reduced right, your airbrush is working correctly before you go do that beautiful artwork. All right, so once you've done a couple rows of dots and you're happy with them, let's practice connecting the dots. That's going to help you with line work. We're going to get to the dagger stroke next, but it's basically what you're doing here, but those take a little bit. But this will help train you to do the daggers better. So same thing, I'll start from here and work my way back. Where the dot was, pull the trigger back and hold it back, and then move to the next dot, and then close it again. So now you trigger back, move, close the trigger. Trigger back, move, close the trigger. And you can keep doing this and basically connect the dots, different angles. And that'll again help you learn consistency, your paint's working right and flowing together, and start to get that trigger kind of trained and that muscle memory developed. All right, now that you have your basics done, your dots, these basic lines, let's talk about the dagger stroke. This is the most versatile stroke in the airbrush world. It pretty much takes care of everything. It's like learning how to draw with a pencil. And a dagger stroke is basically a line that kind of, it's also called rat tail strokes. It goes from like a dot to a fine point. And what you're doing, as you pull the trigger back and you move, when you get to the end of the line, you're closing the trigger off. So you're essentially doing this, trigger on, and you're moving and you're closing, and it's getting a little skinnier. And you're kind of going to go a little faster, and you get these dagger strokes. And it's on, off, but as you're going off, you're moving. And you're opening and closing, and notice I'm never shutting the air off. On and off, you get these nice strokes. The more you do it, the better you get. And what I like to do is practice it in different directions. This is a really good way to practice it, to really get proficient at it and train that muscle memory. So what I do is I do typically 3 down, 3 across, 3 up, 3 the other way, and I repeat that technique. And that helps your brain be able to do this dagger stroke in any direction. And the more you practice, you can practice different lengths, the better you'll get. At the dagger stroke. And that'll lead into some other techniques we'll talk about. This is on metal, so you got to move a little faster. If you want, use a t-shirt material, you can slow down a little bit. Or just paper towels or a piece of paper. It absorbs the paint a little more, allows you to slow down, do the dagger stroke a little bit more controlled than on like a metal surface. But a painted metal surface is a little slicker. You just got to move a little faster. But the more you do it, the more you'll adjust. You can even do different angles. Different directions, left to right, up and down. Practice this as much as possible, and you'll be airbrushing really good freehand work in no time. All right, basic daggers are done. Now we're going to do a variation of the dagger. That's going to help with your kind of curve control. It's basically a dagger stroke as a pinwheel, different lengths. So I start in the center, I go out and turn, out and turn. Use your wrist. I'm pivoting here, and I'm using my shoulders a bit to move around to keep it stable. And I go pinwheel one way, and then I pinwheel out the other way. You get really good at these. This will help with the classic airbrush beach scene everyone does, you see, which is big dagger strokes. And these big, long, kind of pinwheel dagger strokes will create the basic airbrush t-shirt, palm tree that we've all grown to know and love. These basic techniques are like learning how to write with a pencil. Once you learn it, you can do anything you want. And just keep the basics going, practice it over and over again. Before you know it, you can airbrush whatever you want. Hope these tips help. Practice it and you'll be awesome.